What's up, and welcome back to what will be the second to last installment of our Craftsman kit, or our Foundations of Craftsman kit building series. So if you've been following along, we have the entire building and structure done, and can, it's all assembled and everything. The last thing that we're going to do in today's video is a little bit of light weathering, really light weathering. I'm not going to do a whole lot. I'm not going to go crazy and do overweather. You can overweather a building as well. We're not going to do that today. I did go ahead and paint a few of the detail parts just to kind of expedite this process. So a few of them are done. I still have to do this crate, and somewhere over here, I have a set of barrels somewhere off the side here. I'm going to do those in another video at the end just to show people how to do detail parts, but that's not going to be part of this series. So I will attach the chimney and the roof vent to these two structures. The chimney will go here, roof vent will go here. Those will happen after we weather everything, the basic structure. And then what I'll do is I'll put the chimney on and do a little bit of light weathering below the chimney, like it's a little bit of stainage coming off of this chimney. And then also for this roof vent, wherever we place it, probably somewhere over here, we'll do a little bit of weathering that, like that's coming off of the like it's rusting a little and coming down there. But for today, I'm just going to do a little bit of light weathering on the structure. All right, so to start, we're going to just hit with a light ink wash. I have a dark ink wash and I have a light ink wash. There's a couple different mixtures. I'm going to do you guys some injustice here, and I don't remember the mixture off of my top of my head. We've talked about it previously on our podcast and a bunch of other things, but I'll try to link the mixture to the ink wash in the description of the video. So I'm going to get my brush that I always use for ink washes. It is a nasty looking brush. It's ugly. So I'm going to get my light ink wash and just cover everything with just a light coating of this ink wash. And it just darkens everything up a little bit. This isn't, some people don't do this, but this just adds a little bit of light weathering to the structure. Not required, but if you want to weather your structure just a little, this tones the colors down just a little bit. There is a formula, like I said, I'll link it in the description, for mixing your ink wash. I just keep it in these little mason jars, the little small mason jars, because they're easy, they seal up nice, they don't spill. They're great for that. Okay, I'm gonna throw another bit of wash on. It looks like my door's a little loose. I'm gonna have to fix my door. It's opening and closing. All right, just throw a little bit on there. I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna put some wash on this, but I'm gonna use a darker one, my darker wash for the brick building. Okay, I got my darker one. Shake it up real quick. I just have them designated a D and an L. Really simple. So it's just darkens everything up just a little bit. Like I said, it's not required. You don't have to do it. And I'm not spending a lot of time covering and going back and forth. Just doing a really quick wash over it. That way when it dries, there's areas that are pulled up more, and there's areas that have less wash. I don't want it to look super even. I don't mind if some areas are a little darker than others. But I just want to give it a quick coating. Okay. I'm going to get this one side over here so I don't forget it. And that chalk, when it redries, will show back up on the mortar. So I'm gonna let this set and dry, and we'll be back in a moment. Real quick, I let it dry, and I wasn't happy with the disappearance of my mortar, which I should have assumed. So I'm just gonna quickly go back through, throw some more dust on my white dust. That sounds really bad. Throw some more of my white weathering pigments or chalk, and then I'm gonna wipe it off real quick, just so I can bring out that mortar again. My mistake, no big deal. We learn as we build, everybody. We learn as we build. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna quickly wipe that off the surface, and we'll be right back. Figured I'd show you my method for this. If you missed it the first time, just knock my stairs off. Son of a gun. See, that's what happens when you start editing stuff. I just take my finger and wipe it off the face of the brick like that. There we go. Good to go. I will glue this step back on here in a moment. I'll just do that when I get back to my detail parts, and we're done weathering everything else. Oops, knock that off. Sometimes that happens. I'm gonna get my chalks back out again, guys. These are just, you've seen these before. These are just chalk pastels that you can get at the craft store like Michael's. I've ground them all up into what you would call your weathering pigments. I use a little miniature cheese grater. You can pick them up at the dollar store or wherever. Target, they probably all have little mini ones. And I just rub my chalk pastels on it and collect them on a plate. On a piece of paper, and I funnel them into my container where I now have some weathering pigments, and they're affordable. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on quote unquote weathering pigments to get something cool and get something that'll work well. So below the windows here, I'm just going to take a little bit of black. Not a lot. I'm just going to make a little focus here, you guys. Make a little bit of like a water stain, or just some dirt underneath these sills. I don't know what you would call that, dirt buildup, but kind of where the water's bringing some dirt down like this. It's following the top of the windowsill and bringing grime from the building down. Tone it down a little bit by removing a little bit of it. Here we go. I'm going to get a little bit of I'm going to bring up a fan brush like this, get a little bit of brown on here as well. I have a brick color that I made by mixing brown, red, and orange. I'm also going to put a little bit of that on there. And again, I'm going to follow that up right there with just a little bit more white. Same with right here. There. Now I've created like a little bit of a stain around the bottom of the window and over here as well. See if I can get that out of the window there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this part of the building. Knock a little bit of that extra off. And just build a little bit of a darker stain underneath this window. I'm not weathering it too much, just a tiny little bit. And then same thing with this last window, last two windows. Just like that. Same with this. Bring it down. Don't have to do that much. Just a little bit goes a long way visually. There you go. And so as you saw with the front, you can always go back and touch it up. All right. So I got that part done. Now, this building is not on a stone foundation. So what I'm going to do is get my fan brush back out with a little bit of brown on it. And I'm going to come along the bottom of it like this. And like go up from the bottom. and build up just a little bit of a like a dirt line on the bottom where it was raining and the rainwater was hitting the ground. It's splashing up some dirt and dust like that. There you go. So now you see along the bottom edge of my building, I have a little bit of a dirty area that I'm building up. And I want it to be just a little darker, so I'm going to put a little bit more on. But I don't want to overdo it. There we go. I'm fine with that right there. So I'm going to do that on the other sides real quick. And I'm making sure to work from the bottom up. I want to go from the bottom up. So it creates a gradient where it's darker on the bottom and lighter as we go up the wall. Son of a gun. There we go. Okay. Got that wall done. This one's going to be tough to see because it's underneath that decking. But I'm just going to go ahead and make it a little darker. So that way it's easier to see from where it sits. And I'm going to grab some of this extra that fell off my brush and darken up this part. I might get a little bit of black on here as well, because visually, if you're looking at it low, there's going to be a shadow down here. So I want to overemphasize underneath the decking, underneath this loading dock. That's just darker and grimier. Not a required step, but I'm going to do it. Well, none of this is required. This is all on your own now. You can do whatever you want for this part. That's what's fun. Okay. I'm going to get some of my gray for along the edge of the loading dock on the building. Just run it right there along the edge of the building where it meets the loading dock. Same within here. Focus on that, please. There we go. I'm happy with that. It's kind of hard to see probably on camera, but there's a light gray right here on the bottom edge of that building. Gotta get that corner. Get my fan brush in there a little bit. Darken it up. There we go. I like that. Okay, so, and we also put a little bit of gray right here, like on the bottom part of the loading dock. I think it adds a cool effect. Yeah. Real quick, also right here, there's going to be some traffic. So I'm going to get a little bit of brown. Make some darker areas on my dock or decking. Even it out a little bit so it's not super harsh looking. And same with back in this door here. It's probably hard to see in the light. I'm going to add a little bit down in here where the traffic would be, higher traffic areas, you know, where the steps meet the decking. Kind of just like that. Okay. I'm going to get another brush real quick and tone it down, even it out, just by kind of smoothing out that look. There we go. Okay. It's subtle, but you know, it adds a little bit of a variation to the decking where people will be walking around. Trying to even it out. You can even out these pastels too by doing this. Like just with a regular dry brush, kind of tones down your weathering. Okay, last step, we're going to do this roof, and that's all we're going to do for the weathering part of the structure. I'm just doing a really light weathering for this, you guys. I know sometimes you've seen our other builds where we go crazy and make buildings look really dilapidated and old, but I'm just going to take some of my white weathering chalks and just kind of do that, make a spritzer on the building, on the roof, and go both directions, only up and down. I'm not going to go side to side. And let the chalk fill in the lines of our tar paper. See how it gets caught in the tar paper there? And you can tone it down by Just go in the opposite direction to your liking. Do the same with this other roof. We're starting with the white. There we go. Adds like an oxidized look to the roof, and it brings out, there we go, it brings out all of those lines. So now it's not pure jet black. We can darken it though. So if you're not happy with how light it is, you can get some of your gray. Add a little bit of gray to it in some spots. Kind of flush out the white, vivid white. And you can even actually go back with, it's hard to see on my brush here, with a little bit of black chalk in areas that are too white and too bright, and just tone it back down just a little bit. So if you got a really bright patch, like you know, right here is kind of brighter, so I can take a little bit of black, just like that, a little bit, kind of even it out. There we go. So that's it. I'm not going to do any more of the roof, and I think the last thing I'm going to do is a little bit of weathering on these doors, like right here, to kind of roughen up the door look. Kind of tones down the bright, vivid color. And the same thing with the structure, the white walls here. I'm going to use my gray and just tone it down, dull out the white, bright, like cream white color of the building. I know I just took it off shot. There we go. It's not such a harsh color like a black would be, but it's just kind of adding a little bit of aged look to the structure. It ages that paint a little bit. There we go. Cool. That's all the weathering I'm going to do on this one. I'm going to keep it lighter. I don't want this building to look like it's heavily weathered and old and decrepit, but I do want it to look like it's you know, used, like it's in an industry along a track or something, but it doesn't need to always look old and beaten. So there we go. That's our simple, very simple weathering. Just some alcohol, ink wash, and some cheap craft store chalk pastels that you can buy and grind down on your own. Again, I use this little cheese grater, mini grater for our pastels. Next, I'm going to add some detail parts as well as like the chimney and stuff, and I'm just going to do one real quick, another layer of weathering on the roof for the chimneys where there's like stains that run down from water and everything. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you like it, subscribe and hit that bell notification and give us a big thumbs up. We're going to be wrapping up this foundation series with the next one where we're going to be applying the white metal casting parts, attaching my steps that I broke off, and I'm actually going to paint one or two unpainted white metal castings just to show you how I do them, but I'm not going to do them all in one video. It would take forever. So again, thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed this series. Have a great one, guys.